welcome to Teaching Together. I'm Grace.
And I'm Sierra.
And you might notice that this is a different intro to normal because this is a different episode to normal. So this year we have decided to experiment with a different format and spend a few weeks looking at the same topic over a series of episodes. You will have already listened to our full-length episode on the things we can tweak in our routines and classrooms to make teaching sustainable in the long haul. And now we're doing a mini deep dive. We spent a lot of time in our full-length episode talking about planning and routines, but we didn't really touch admin. So this mini is for the invisible work, the stuff that doesn't feel like teaching, but somehow takes up so much of our week, and we all have to do it.
I feel like we just need to insert the smiling emoji with the single tear.
Oh, yes. That's our faces right now. I'm assuming, dear listener, that is your face right now. And we go, well, I studied all of this stuff about how to teach at uni and no one ever taught me how to do admin. What am I doing?
And let's be honest, this is one of, I think, the biggest gripes that teachers have, and one of the biggest challenges that we face with the teacher workforce is that more and more people are feeling like they're spending more and more time doing admin and less time doing teaching.
And I honestly am very bad at admin because I wish I could just spend a day just doing the admin.
Same, yes. I think that's why we get so much done in the holidays sometimes. I honestly would love if my timetable was set up in a way that I could just taught 4 5-period days. We only do 5 periods in a day. So 4 full teaching days and then 1 day of uninterrupted time to get all my planning done. Because I think on Friday last week, I taught 3 out of 5 periods and I pretty much did nothing in the 2 hours that I had spare because, one of them was earlier in the day, one of them was later in the day. And by the time you go and eat your lunch in your free period, because you've actually got a lunch duty, so you don't eat it at lunch, you eat it in your free period, and then maybe have a quick chat with the person next to you or a debrief about your lesson and did a few other things. And then it's oh, okay, well, I checked my emails and that's about all else I did in those 2 hours.
And that's one of the reasons why admin can feel so draining, because you're being constantly interrupted and you can't get started on something. And there's all these tiny little admin tasks that you need to do, like answering an email or taking attendance or writing your register or entering data or filling out a form or collecting forms from students and then figuring out who needs to be given this form. And I do dread it because I don't often know who's the person that this goes to, especially because, my school is now in its 4th year. And so we're slowly accumulating more administration staff as well as teaching staff. And so people's roles have changed and I'm I don't know where anything goes. And to me, admin does not feel like a priority, which is why I am terrible at completing my registers. And my goal for this year is to do it at the end of the week.
Same. Can we actually make a little accountability system for this?
We're doing this right now very publicly.
Very publicly. Because I really need to do this better. The reason that I stopped putting so much effort into my registers, if I'm honest, is because I poured my heart and soul into my first ever set of registered programs and my evaluation documents, only to find that at the end of that first year of my teaching, all my head teacher did was duplicate the folders with all the original programs in it, which I'm sure this happens everywhere because it continues to happen now at my current school. It's very normal practice, I believe. But they basically just duplicated the OG folders and was all right, everybody, we're working from scratch again. And so I'd put all these really detailed thoughts and evaluations, and the evaluation form says things like, would you make any recommendations and changes to this program? And I was yes, indeed I would. And I wrote all of them down. And then I suddenly realized, it's no one's job to go and look at all those annotations and reflections.
Except, I guess, the next teacher?
And update the program unless you do that. Unless your school is, I don't know, at the moment, for example, I'm responsible for the Year 8 programs across all of the Year 8 teachers for technology. And so I guess as the person who's responsible for that, I could ask to see people's annotations at the end or ask them for their reflections and see, do you want to update anything about the program? And I could make sure that the program gets updated for the next year. But that would only be because of my own initiative, not because anyone is really caring or looking at your annotations or evaluations. So after that, I just kind of stopped bothering and realizing that this takes a huge amount of time that I don't have, that doesn't really go anywhere. And that's why I kind of just gave up on doing it so regularly.
Yeah, that's totally valid. And like you were saying before about how, you see other teachers who leave it till the end or whatever, that's what I saw about registers in my kindergarten team. Love my kindergarten team so much, but we all kind of just left it. But now in year 2, there's one of the teachers who pre-registers the programs.
Oh.
And I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that. But she's gone, well, I plan to teach this lesson there, so I'm just going to register with that date. But then I'm thinking, if she doesn't do it on that date, she has to go back and change the register. So she's double handling. But that's the kind of organization that I'm working with in my new team. And I'm like, oh, I actually feel disorganized in comparison, which doesn't happen to me very often.
Yeah.
So it's a whole new level.
Yeah. Other tasks that I think are really tedious and time consuming is just going through emails.
Ugh.
I mean, I know we've talked a lot about emails and email processes and etiquette and things before, but honestly, like, I can't even, like I said before, you basically spend a whole RFF period making a coffee and reading and responding to emails. It's insane.
And if those emails have important information, like my head of junior school will often send out a bulk reminders email if like due dates for things are coming up or whatever, or if we've had a big junior school meeting and there's important stuff there. And I'm like, I don't know what to do with this information so that I don't forget it.
Yeah.
And
do you use labels and things in your inbox?
Well, I have talked about this before. I label it by sender, like whoever sent it to me.
Yeah.
I know, oh, I got that from Jade. I'll go there because like we were talking about with sustainable teaching, that works for me.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've talked about my checklist app before, which I can just, now that I'm thinking about this out loud, I can just type the to-do list item into there. But I had no idea that no one in my junior school team knew about Schedule Send.
No one.
Not even my head of junior school, because in our pupil free week that we had in what was really week 0 for us, we had this big junior school meeting. We were talking about how we're only going to use Microsoft Teams between the hours of 7:30 a.m. and 3:30 p.m., which I love. But then people were like, what if I need to send a message that's actually quite pertinent or whatever? And what if I forget? And my head of junior school was saying, you can write it on your notes app or whatever, send yourself a reminder, then send it in an appropriate time. And I was like, guys, I'm about to change your lives. I was like, have you not heard of Schedule Send? I've done a whole podcast episode on it.
You can schedule send text messages now. I'd only just discovered this.
Text messages?
Yes.
What?
Yeah, you can schedule send texts.
That's fantastic. And I like that because for me, I can check that off my to-do list.
Yeah.
I literally, I schedule send how to email, which I did very hilariously reference in the body of the text, which I labored over this because it was going to the entire junior school. And I had forgotten that I'd schedule sent it because in my mind, I'd already sent it and I could tick it off, and I had actually done it because it was going to be sent automatically later, and I love automating things like that as much as possible.
Oh, another one, like emails. I think we spoke in the previous episode about coming up with checklists for repeated tasks, and I've been also trying to think about how can I do this with emails as well. So every time I write an email that's kind of like, we have to write an all-staff email when we've organised an incursion or an excursion or something that is going to involve students being out of someone else's class. So you have to notify the rest of the staff. So keeping email templates as well. I'm not exactly, I haven't really come up with a perfect system or solution for how and where, but if you find yourself regularly writing the same type of email, morning everyone, for your planning purposes, the following students will be absent from your lessons on this day for this purpose, blah, 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 blah. Just write it once, get ChatGPT to refine it for you so that it's really nice and professional. Thank you. And then, keep it in a Google Doc saved in a file under your email templates and, things like that. I'm trying to go, okay, well, I don't want to have to be sitting here laboring over an all-staff email every time trying to think about, is this appropriate? Does it have everything it needs? Also, my school expectation is that you send through the list of the students. And so that's even part of my excursion planning checklist, is that I, download a copy of the affected students, upload that as a PDF, contact the affected teachers, but then to have that template saved somewhere else, so I'm not then spending another 20 minutes thinking about, okay, how do I write this email? Who's involved? Blah, blah, blah. Who does it need to go to? It's just quick copy and paste. Some email systems through schools even have like those like kind of tags where, if I was sending an email to all of my students, for example, and it was a generic email, I could insert like a tag that says, student name.
Ooh.
And then when that email is pushed out to all the students, it will say, Dear Grace or Dear so-and-so. So if you use that kind of system, you might even be able to update your template to include the appropriate tags so that you're doing that every time and you're not having to insert it with the correct information.
And that's one of those situations where you're spending a little bit of time to make lots of time later. Like, I personally also have lots of those emails that I need to send, and then I'm reinventing the wheel every single time because I couldn't be bothered to copy and paste that email into a Word document maybe and have that as my template. But if I do that once, I never have to do it again, instead of every time I send that type of email.
Canva files is also another one. I use Canva on the daily. And folders don't exist in my Canva. It's just everything is recent projects.
Yes, correct. Same.
And I really could do with a couple of hours to sift through all my projects and allocate them into suitable folders, because I have so many teaching resources and worksheets that I know I've made that are there somewhere.
And I've just got random things from kindergarten that I don't need, that I just made for that one specific lesson. Like, it's not really, I didn't need to make it. I don't need to share it with anyone for the program or whatever. Just get rid of it.
Actually, you've taught me how to delete emails too that I don't need. Grace keeps her inbox at a 0, which I find incredibly stressful. But once I've received, if I open an email and it's like, this is not relevant to me, I delete it.
Yep.
This is work emails. If I open an email and it's actionable in the space of like 2 minutes and I do the action and then I can delete it. If I feel like I need to keep a record of it, well, then I do. And I think my inbox would be a mortifying number for you. But I do delete some things, which is better than none.
Correct. And you just mentioned the golden 2-minute rule.
Yes.
If you can do it in 2 minutes, just do it now. And that goes for everything in life pretty much.
Yeah.
Like washing
don't
up
put
a
it
single
down,
dish.
put it away.
Don't put it down, put it away. We were talking about this off pod.
Oh, another amazing email sort of hack that has probably changed my world in relation to email admin, which I still despise and wish there was less of. My Gmail inbox, because we're a Google school, I have it set up so that all unopened emails remain at the top. So my inbox is not structured based on like the time of arrival, but it's whether I've opened it or not. So if I open it and I go, I need a bit more time to deal with that, I mark it as unread so it stays at the top. So my email inbox alone kind of becomes like a to-do list in its own right, because it's like every time I open my emails, the thing that I need to deal with is still at the top.
Yeah.
And I don't risk losing emails or missing important information because we get so many and it might have already progressed onto the second page of emails.
Oh dear.
Before I've even got a chance to deal with it. So at least I know that Google is filtering my emails so that if I haven't dealt with it yet, it remains at the top.
Continuing with our helpful tips, as someone who has very sadly said goodbye to her paper planner, I love using Google Sheets for tracking things.
Which is very funny because you're an Outlook, you're a Microsoft school.
But I actually prefer Google Sheets to Excel.
100%.
Yeah. But yeah, I use that for making sure that we do a whole every child gets a merit every term kind of situation, which I'm not a huge fan of, but it does. I use that to track who's gotten a merit and for what.
Yep.
And What else do I use it for? Other
I
stuff.
set one up this week to track how late my year 11s are to class.
Yeah. Pretty much anything that needs to be tracked, I love Google Sheets for it. And you can have the tabs down the bottom too.
The drop downs.
The drop downs, I love them.
I use Google Sheets. Actually, one thing that has been a really helpful teaching tool, which is kind of admin but teaching for Google Sheets, is I have a Google Sheet HSC question bank, but you could do the same thing. It doesn't have to be HSC questions, but and I have like the mark value in one column and the question and then the topic and the year of the paper that it came from and stuff. And then I share that Google Sheet with my HSC classes and show them how to use the filtering tool so they can filter based on, let's say they want to practice their short answer questions. They can filter for only looking at, questions that were of 2 or 3 mark value or questions from a particular topic or something like that because they've all been categorized. And I guess it's semi an admin task because you got to go and look at all the past papers and you've got to sort of collate all the data, but it's so much easier for me to now plan my lessons and integrate exam preparation into those lessons because I have that bank.
And that's how you know that you've made a good system, is when you go, oh, this is actually really easy now and it's integrated already into another process.
And you don't have to go through the process of downloading 5 documents from the internet and reopening them and then further adding to the mess that is your downloads folder.
Yeah, well,
which
my
is
downloads
mine.
folder. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
that is an abyss. And I think at this point, it might be helpful to suggest that potentially accepting good enough admin is good enough because it's admin, right? There might be a legal requirement for an excursion form.
Yep. Or your roles.
Or your roles. But as we have already spoken about many a time, our to-do list is never done, ever, as a teacher, or probably anyone ever, that you can just keep adding things that you can make up stuff to add to your to-do list if you want.
Yeah.
And I do find that I'm just rolling things over constantly, which is also why a paper planner is a bit overwhelming to me because I see that I've written the same to-do list item 4 days in a row.
Yeah.
And I haven't dealt with that.
Oh, I have a little icon system that I've tried implementing this week in my new paper checklist book that's not a planner.
Not a planner.
But basically, when I've written down the things that I wanted to do on that day, I've put a tick in the checkbox if I did it. And if I've moved it to the following week, I've put an arrow in the box.
I love that.
So also what I love about this little planner is it's got multiple ribbon markers, not just one. So I've got one ribbon marker in the back with my repeated checklists section. So the checklists I've made for repeated activities like planning an excursion. So I've got that ribbon marker for those special repeated checklists. Then I've got my ribbon marker from last week so that I can still quickly flick back and confirm which of these things I need to tick off, if there's still anything that's kind of still in progress. And then I've got my next ribbon marker for my actual current week that I'm in. And I've found that to be very helpful.
So what's the brand of this? Because it actually sounds quite useful.
It is the Bespoke Letterpress.
Which we're not sponsored by, but again, if Bespoke Letterpress wants to sponsor us along with T2, we wouldn't mind that.
Send me this beautiful planner every year, they're very welcome to. It's actually their student planner, so it looks more like it's designed for uni students, but they have teacher planners as well. If you are a paper teacher planner kind of person, don't get one if you're not, even though they are beautiful.
They are.
But yeah, I've just found this to be really helpful for me at the moment and just keeping all my to-do lists in one place.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think as we bring this into land, it's important to reiterate that struggling with admin is not a personal failure. Just so you know, and so that I, the person speaking, knows this also, it's not a personal failure. To some extent, it might be a systems issue. Maybe you're at a school that's been around forever and you've got all these lingering systems and procedures and forms that just no one has had the time to adapt to the future that we're living in. Because we're in the future. What a time to be alive.
Unclickable evaluation forms.
Exactly. And that's really annoying, but that's not something that you have to bring on, especially if you're an early career teacher and you're feeling very overwhelmed. it's not a personal failure and not an indication that you are bad at your job. And I'm still getting through that. And I think I've gotten to a point where I can go, okay, this isn't working. I'm allowed to change it for me so that it does work, because we don't want to be suffering through something that on paper or on a Google Doc is as simple as admin. Like it's supposed to be
ticking boxes.
Exactly. So yeah, please don't suffer through it if there is any way that you can adjust it for yourself.
And we want our students to be problem solvers. You're allowed to be a problem solver too.
Amen.
Like, I've discovered so far that like it's very rare that a school does things a particular way because that's the way it has to be done. It's more that's the way that it's been set up there. And then everybody sort of via osmosis has just like started doing these things the same way. You are allowed to experiment with new techniques. Talk to your head teacher or your grade leader or your stage leader about, what are things that are kind of non-negotiable and what are things that you can try and make work for you.
I'm just going to say ditto because yes. And you have made it to the end of our first mini episode. Go us, go you. And there is more to come on this theme of making teaching sustainable. So we hope you enjoyed this. Please hit us up on all the socials. We are at Teaching Together, the podcast. And until next time, bye.